So I will tell the newcomers in the room that I have been lurking Toastmasters for about 10 years. And it's a miracle that I'm up here giving my icebreaker. My icebreaker today is about my brand. And somebody asked me, 3 months ago or so, if you had to describe your family and your childhood, what would that brand be? And I was shocked at the question, and so I thought about it for a moment, and really our brand is, my brand that I perceive from my family is you create your own world. You pave your own way. And from that, I think that I have an innate or substantive sense and grasp of responsibility and commitment to myself. Maybe that came from the fact that I was born in the Midwest. My father was a factory worker. He was also in the National Guards. My mother was a stay-at-home mother until she became a nurse practitioner, went back to college and became a nurse practitioner in her older years and our teen years as well. What I remember from my childhood is neighborhood fun. Even though we lived in Michigan, we did sledding, we did bike riding, a lot of outdoor activities, friends everywhere, walking to school. And I basically had a great childhood. It was, all I can remember is having fun all the time. And that lasted throughout high school and into college. And about my second year of college in Michigan, I, along with 3 other girls, decided to go on spring break in Daytona. We didn't have a place to stay, but we loaded up in the car and we were headed to Florida. And so we drive to Florida, or we get into Daytona Beach, we find a vacancy, we all pile into this room and have a magical week. I mean, I could not have asked for a more wonderful week at that age. I remember a pivotal point in my life where I was sitting in a lawn chair laying out on the beach and thinking, watching the waves come out over the sea and onto the sand, and thinking, oh my gosh, this is the place for me, I've got to do this. And in that week, I also met a man who I thought was the man of my dreams. He was a boy that attended Embry-Riddle University over in Daytona Beach. And so I went back to Michigan. I finished off the term and semester and decided to move back and move in with this boy. I don't know. My parents gave me $300. I convinced them to give me $300 to go to Florida, and I moved in with him. Well, needless to say, that relationship lasted 2 weeks. And I was very lucky that I had a girlfriend who had moved about 3 months prior over to Tampa. And she really wanted me to come to stay with her. So I went to my girlfriend over in Tampa and I moved in with her. I had $4 in my pocket. I had 1 suitcase and my own little car. And moved in with my girlfriend, and needless to say, I had 0 money. So I went right to work, and in 3 months, I ended up moving out of my girlfriend's house. I had found my own place. Work became a priority for me. Work became my family. And my nose was to the grindstone constantly. I evolved from a waitress position when I first got there to an account manager for an advertising agency. And from that became an operator of a telemarketing agency for this advertising agency. GT Wireless was one of my clients. GT Wireless called me up. They were starting their inbound telemarketing agency, and they said, hey, will you come and help us start this? And I went over to GT Wireless, and that's when my career with Verizon and the legacy companies began. It took off from there, and I ended up becoming a district manager over the retail stores, over the indirect locations for many years, director of operations for the Southeast. And when Verizon purchased Alltel, I now am an associate director for business integrations, and that's where I've been. We just purchased a wireless company out in California, and we've been negotiating the initial planning stages of that. So again, I mean, it's been a fantastic ride for me. I was able to, on my own, afford a house on Davis Island. And I remember dating a boy once where we were walking on Davis Island and he said, "Oh my gosh, you are so lucky to live here." And my brand was triggered. And I thought, I'm not lucky. This is me. I created this world. No way is this luck. So anyhow, I didn't date too seriously. I was, like I said, nose to the grindstone, and then my mom passed away from a 2-year battle of cancer. And it was like that trigger that made me think, oh my God, I got to look at this relationship stuff a little bit more seriously. And so I did, and a couple years later, I was debating on a couple of boys to date, and I was running along Bayshore because I was very athletic at the time, and it was a hot summer day, and all these gnats were all over on Bayshore, and I was just covered in these gnats. And this one guy that I was dating was coming the opposite way on a bicycle, and I'm running this way, and we stopped, and I said, "Oh my gosh, Tom, can you just let me use the bottom of your t-shirt to wipe these gnats off my eyes?" Sorry. And he said, "Ew, no way." And at that point, I realized my husband would have given me the shirt off his back. And I made a choice at that point to stay with my husband, and it was the best choice I ever made. 14 years later, we are still together, and he is still a wonderful man to me. 2 years into our marriage, we decided that we wanted to adopt. And at that point, I opened up the newspaper, saw that there was an article for adoption, that there was a seminar going on in a local church. And for Russian adoption, we went to that seminar, and 2 years later, we adopted our first son at 16 months, brought him home. And 2 years after that, we adopted our second son from Russia, and we adopted him at 16 months. They are now 8 and 11, and fantastic boys in every way. I think that my life is complete, not perfect, but definitely complete. And I believe the brand and the powerful impact of that brand in my childhood helped me create the world that I have now. I will say that I'm not passing that brand on to my children. I want to hold their hand a little bit more, help them through life a little bit more. And I think that my new brand for my family is to teach my children integrity, responsibility, honesty, along with just accountability to themselves. And I hope I can succeed. Thank you.